Number 10. Snap-on bracelets. The slap bracelet was invented in 1983 by a high school shop teacher named Stuart Anders. The original snap-on bracelets were marketed as slap-wraps, and they consisted of a long piece of steel similar to a metal tape measure covered in fabric. When a 4-year-old cut her finger on the sharp metal edges inside a cheap imitation slap bracelet, parents began to worry. Apparently the knockoff version, coming over from Asia, were made of a cheaper fabric and low-grade steel with sharp edges that could rust and wear through the fabric. While they are banned in most schools around the US, they can still be purchased at many toy and entertainment stores. Number 9. Candy cigarettes. Candy cigarettes were first introduced to the American public in the 1930s, a time when smoking wasn't seen as the health concern it is today. The packaging that candy companies used for these almost perfectly mimicked the real cigarettes' shape and logos. It was around the 1950s that some of the first health reports began to show the negative effects of smoking. Parents were especially alarmed when studies began to link the children consuming these candy cigarettes to eventually smoking as an adult. While the sale of candy cigarettes were only banned in North Dakota, in 1970 a bill was passed to remove cigarette from the candy's packaging. Number 8. Splash Blast Water Rockets. Splash Blast water rockets originally sold in many large retail toy stores between January and March of 2001. The rockets were connected to a garden hose, which would propel the rocket with air and water pressure. Despite a warning on the rocket stating caution, stay clear of rocket during launch, this toy still managed to propel in random directions, ultimately injuring children. The resulting injuries led to a massive voluntary recall of 108,000 units in cooperation with the Consumer Product Safety Commission. Number 7. Snack Time Cabbage Patch Doll. Since its release in toy stores around September of 1996, approximately 500,000 of the Snack Time Cabbage Patch dolls have been sold. The doll has a motorized mouth which eats plastic snack foods that come packaged with the toy. Within a few weeks of release, consumers were reporting the doll ripping their children's hair off their scalp as well as fingers and skin getting stuck inside of the motorized mouth. To date, consumers that purchase the doll can still return it for a $40 refund. Number 6. Sky Dancer's Flying Doll. Sold between November 1994 and June 2000, Galoob Toy Company was forced to recall a staggering 8.9 million Sky Dancer's Flying Dolls. This was after receiving nearly 200 reports of injuries ranging from minor cuts to serious head trauma. Among the list was eye injuries, which included scratched corneas and incidents of temporary blindness, broken teeth, mild concussions, a broken rib, and many facial lacerations that required stitches. Number 5. Lawn darts. Lawn darts were a popular outdoor toy used during the 1970s and 1980s. The idea was to throw the dart in an arc, landing it into plastic rings placed in the yard. Throughout the years the toy was challenged by bans and recalls, until 1988 when it received an outright ban from the Consumer Product Safety Commission. In the previous 8 years leading up to the ban, 6,100 people had been sent to the emergency room due to lawn darts. The ban was reinforced due in part to David Snow's lobbying. Snow's daughter was playing with dolls in their front yard when an overshot lawn dart from the backyard landed on her head, rendering her unconscious and finally succumbing to her injuries 3 days later. Number 4. CSI Fingerprint Examination Kit. For $30, this kit included fingerprint dust, which kids could spread all over household items and look for prints. Sounds like a fun and educational activity, except that the fingerprint dust was more than a little toxic. It contained as much as 7% tremolite, one of the most fatal forms of asbestos, which can cause lung cancer in as little as 1 exposure. After nearly 2 years of being on shelves while battling a class action lawsuit with the Asbestos Disease Awareness Organization, the toy was quietly recalled. While the nature of the dust makes it hard to figure out just how many people were affected, it's just good to know this especially nasty toy is no longer being sold. Number 3. Buckyballs. Otherwise known as neodymium magnets or buckyballs, These small magnetic spheres are used in stress relief products, educational toys, and a form of artistic medium. This product was especially dangerous because of children swallowing the magnetic spheres, resulting in intestinal injury that would require surgery. In 2009, Buckyballs received a CPSC recall on the 175,000 units with packaging labeled 13+ years old that had been sold to the public, with fewer than 50 ever returned. Between 2009 and 2013, emergency rooms would see 2,900 people with magnetic balls stuck inside of their bodies. It wasn't until November 2012 that Buckyballs announced that they had stopped production due to a CPSC lawsuit. Number 2. Aquadots. Released to North American markets in 2007, these beads were used in combination with water to fuse colorful multi-dimensional designs on a plastic tray. They were recalled in Australia when a 2-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl became seriously ill after swallowing some of the beads. There were also concerns of a black market trading of the beads due to their intoxicating effect. Once ingested, the chemical compound used to make the beads, butanediol, would metabolize into the day-trape drug GHB. Reactions ranged from headache to severe seizures to non-responsive comas after consuming the aquadots. Number 1. The Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Laboratory. The U-238 Atomic Energy Lab was released by the A.C. Gilbert Company in 1950. The intention of the toy's creator was to allow children to create and watch chemical reactions using radioactive material. The kit included a Gilbert Atomic Energy Manual, Geiger counter, Wilson cloud chamber, and uranium-bearing ore samples among other radioactive materials. Facing scrutiny, Gilbert defended the Atomic Energy Laboratory, saying it was completely safe and that many of the country's top nuclear scientists had worked on the project. The toy was never officially banned or recalled, but instead just never gained any real popularity and was taken off shelves after less than a year.